Mondays at 6:30, we love to rank stuff.
Yeah, we do.
So today on the show, we have the Canty Power Rankings, my top 5 NFL storylines heading into the Combine. Things are going to get kicked off in Indy this week. You're starting to see everybody arrive at Lucas Oil Stadium and the Indiana Convention Center and settle in. On-field activities get started in a couple of days, but we all know that a lot of the action that people look forward to in Indy happens at the hotel bars and at the White Cloth restaurants over shrimp cocktails.
You know it.
You already know. So I want to get into the storylines that I think will dominate the headlines coming out of Indy this week. Let's kick it off at number 5.
Number 5.
George Pickens and the contract dance he's going to do with the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas is already planning on using the $28 million franchise tag on the all-pro wide receiver to make sure he can't leave as an unrestricted free agent. Pickens this past season had 1,400 yards receiving and 9 touchdowns. 22 of his 93 catches went for 20 yards or more. He's the vertical threat that's been missing in Dallas's offense since Amari Cooper left. But where do things stand on a potential contract extension? Is he going to demand a deal that surpasses CeeDee Lamb's contract? What are the chances he plays the 2026 season under the tag? How does the team think Pickens will respond if he doesn't get a long-term deal? Is there any real possibility that they would trade him? A lot of questions around this situation. A lot of different ways that this can go, but it's hard to see a David Mulligetta client playing in back-to-back seasons on a, quote, prove-it basis, especially coming off of a career year. And remember, David Mulligetta was the agent for Micah Parsons. We saw how long that played out, and on the eve of the 2025 season, him getting shipped to the Green Bay Packers seemingly against his will. George Pickens is a phenomenal talent, and George Pickens would command a massive payday if he were to hit the open market. There has never been a question about his physical ability. It's only been a question about the 6 inches between his ears, and he answered that question this past season. If the Dallas Cowboys truly want to operate like a functional franchise and they have any fancies of trying to contend in 2026, they need to put this contract situation with George Pickens to bed sooner rather than later in the offseason so they can get on with other business in terms of fortifying their roster.
But that would take him out of the headlines. That would be no fun for Jerry Jones if there was no drama surrounding a contract dispute with a star player.
Well, luckily for Jerry Jones, you'll be back in the headlines in 10 minutes when we dive deeper into this with comments from your son, Stephen Jones. Number 4.
Number 4.
Quarterback Ty Simpson fighting to be QB2 in this year's draft class will throw at Indy this week. Most draft prospects have an extensive body of collegiate work that can combat any questions that arise at the Combine. Simpson does not. Not only did the 6'2", 208-pound passer start just 15 games at Alabama, his play took a sharp downturn over the course of his lone year as the full-time starter. 21 touchdowns to 1 pick through the first 9 games, 7 touchdowns to 4 picks in the final 6 games, including no touchdowns in the college football playoff game where they got routed by Indiana. But with the expected number 1 pick, Fernando Mendoza, abstaining from working out, Simpson is sure to be the most closely monitored of any of the signal callers who will take the field. Latest mocks by our draft experts have him going to Pittsburgh at number 21 overall. However, a strong showing this week could move the needle for quarterback-needy teams in the top half of the draft.
So you're saying he's QB2 as of now. You're saying he may not be 100% ready because of the downturn last year. You're saying he still could be a first-round pick, though, overall. And you're saying 21 is the rough estimate of where he's going right now, but with good play, it could go up. Tell me why he's going to get past the Rams 13 then. Not being ready would be a good thing for the Rams.
I don't think the Rams can afford to take a quarterback in waiting. That's a luxury pick. They have to maximize the window that they have with Matt Stafford, and they need players that can help them win now.
Wow, okay. That's a bold statement.
But I will say this. Teams like the New York Jets, the Arizona Cardinals, the Miami Dolphins, the Minnesota Vikings potentially trying to move up. Like, I could see a scenario where all of those teams potentially want to get involved. What are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going to do with Baker Mayfield? Do they take a stab at going after a quarterback? Like, there are a lot of teams that I think are in wait for a quarterback in this draft, and they're not going to tip their hand early, but a strong showing by Ty Simpson this week can make it a very difficult decision for all of those teams that are on the fence about taking a quarterback early.
Okay.
Next.
Number 3.
Is Minnesota in the market for a quarterback? The team is ready to win now, and star receiver Justin Jefferson isn't going to want to go through another mediocre year, and the Vikings haven't won a playoff game since 2019. Head coach Kevin O'Connell, who's never actually won a playoff game, has said that Minnesota wants competition for quarterback J.J. McCarthy. How will the team build the most optimal quarterback room without guaranteeing the starting opportunity to a more veteran option? Remember, that was the issue with Daniel Jones last offseason and why he opted to go to Indy. Let's say they do go down that road. What will that mean for McCarthy's future? He's entering his third season. The Vikings have to decide on his fifth-year option next summer. Not much time exists to make a fuller evaluation. The reality is that Minnesota had a plan to redshirt McCarthy when they drafted him a couple of years ago, and they didn't actually redshirt him. He was hurt in his first year and missed all the development opportunities because he didn't get practice reps. They threw an unfinished product into a lineup with a team that was expecting to contend in the toughest division in football. That is the very definition of mismanagement. It already cost their general manager his job. Could we be in a situation where it cost Kevin O'Connell his job?
Yeah, I think the best player, most important person on the Vikings is Justin Jefferson right now. Everyone needs time to improve. He doesn't need that much time. He's that good. So whose time are we talking about? We're talking about Kevin O'Connell's time. The question that I have off of what you're saying is Kevin O'Connell's time worth spending on J.J. McCarthy right now? That's the thing that they have to weigh. Because there is an argument that if he is that much of an on-field roller coaster, it's not worth Kevin O'Connell's time to spend on him. That is a harsh statement, but that is what I wonder if they are weighing right now in Minnesota.
Does Kevin O'Connell's reputation as a quarterback whisperer take a hit if he can't figure this thing out with J.J. McCarthy?
Well, but that's why maybe you're better off just saying goodbye now.
Or did the firing of your general manager give you cover for that?
How could it give you cover for that? You mean
Because
to tell me that Kevin O'Connell had nothing to do with the evaluation and taking J.J. McCarthy over Bo Nix?
I don't believe that,
Okay.
but I'm saying
I don't think anybody believes that.
When you fire the general manager, you're essentially saying he's the one that mismanaged this quarterback situation, and it gives Kevin O'Connell a little bit of cover. But I think you have to bring in somebody. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. He needs more time. He is not ready. And you have a team that has a lot of pieces in place to compete now. You need to make sure that you have another option in that quarterback room.
Okay, checking in at number 2 on my top 5 NFL storylines heading into the Combine. We got speculation on the edge rusher market. Players at that position that could be on the move this offseason, obviously Trey Hendrickson from the Cincinnati Bengals and Myles Garrett from the Cleveland Browns. But let's drill down on Max Crosby. Will the Raiders actually trade Crosby? Reportedly, the Raiders want the Micah Parsons deal, which included 2 first-round draft picks and an impact player. Crosby is already on a relatively friendly contract, 6th highest paid average salary per year among edge rushers. He won't need to reset the market like Parsons did after getting traded to the Packers, but Parsons is a better player and the younger player. Crosby, who is 6th in sacks since he came into the league in 2019, was upset the team shut him down during the final 2 weeks of the season because of a knee injury that required surgery in January. He has also been determined to win at the highest level, and the Raiders are starting a rebuild under first-time head coach Clint Kubiak. A trade would be beneficial for both sides. Crosby at 28 could get an opportunity to play for a true contender. Meanwhile, the Raiders would have a dead cap hit of only $5.1 million, but save $30.5 million. And the Las Vegas Raiders could also use the draft capital that they add from a Crosby trade to help build on its roster, particularly on the offensive side of the ball, around presumed franchise quarterback Fernando Mendoza.
Yeah, I think we know one of these guys will get traded. That's why it's juicy. That's why it's so high up on the list. One of these guys will get traded. Edge rusher market number 2. So that leaves us to
number 1.
Quarterback contract extension for Lamar this offseason. Jackson's salary cap hit is $74.5 million in 2026. If that's not lowered significantly, general manager Eric DeCosta will have no flexibility to add or even retain key Ravens. Guys like center Tyler Lindenbaum, Daniel Faalele, Draymond Jones, Isaiah Likely, and Aloy Gilman. Not to mention finding replacements for Roquan Smith and Notni Matabuke if they can't agree to rework deals that lower their $30 million cap hits. Needless to say, a lot of business needs to get done, and time is of the essence. Owner Steve Bisciotti made it clear last month that the Ravens will either extend Jackson or add void years to his deal to lower his 2026 cap number. Not to mention that new offensive coordinator Declan Doyle already fired a shot across the bow at Lamar, saying, quote, if you want to say you're going to win a championship, you want to say that you have championship standards, and those are your goals and your expectations, certainly that's going to take work, that's going to take collaboration, and that's going to take the beginning of building the relationship with the coaches and other players starting off this next regime on the right foot, end quote. That's in reference to the three-time first-team All-Pro habitually missing significant portions of the all-season program. From my purview, it's likely that Baltimore unilaterally restructures Jackson's deal and kicks the can to 2027. Crazy to think that this regime would take a wait-and-see approach with the future Hall of Fame quarterback, but if the goal is a title, it behooves the Ravens to be deliberate with entrusting Lamar with even more power when the leadership intangibles haven't been up to a championship standard.
Lamar 1, edge rusher 2, mini quarterback 3, Ty Simpson 4, and number 5, Cowboys George Pickens. Top 5 storylines heading into the Combine this week. What about Pickens with the Cowboys? We'll do more on that next. We're on Sportsmanlike, presented by Progressive Insurance.